pin code. Hollow gods in download mode. I scream in static, breathe in rust, and all I built will turn to dust.
We are here on a Tuesday night. CJ Carter here alongside Tyler, the pro wrestling hipster. It is March 10th. Happy Mario Day. We are kicking off our Dirt Sheet Radio NXT Rewind with Tyler and Molly. Tyler, how you doing, man? Oh, you're muted. Okay, we're gonna unmute
there we are.
Tyler. There we go.
Misplaced my mouse there. I was like, where did it get? It fell under one of the dog pillows here. But no, we're good. Guys, hello. Greetings and salutations, everyone. Yeah, we're doing good. Good week. I'll say I've had a better week. My wife got her wisdom teeth out this week, last Thursday, actually. So I can say that I've definitely had a better time of it than she's had. But,
we've been talking since she got hers out, because mine are coming out the week before night one of WrestleMania.
Oh, you know what? You might be on enough drugs that you actually thoroughly enjoy the first night of WrestleMania.
I am enough of a WWE shill. I will still enjoy night one of WrestleMania, regardless of how many drugs I'm on.
Well, okay,
but
how about this? It might feel like it's flowing faster than it's actually going to. A 6-hour show will feel like 4.5 for you.
Very true. And plus, I mean, the surgery will have happened a week before, so 7 days later, am I still gonna be like pretty drugged out? Is that what happened with the missus?
No, really just the first couple days, depending on even what they give you. And she's not the type to like to take the your heavy painkillers. So, like, as soon as she was, not in that severe of pain, she was, stopping those. But no, it's a slow process. I mean, she had all 4 out. They had to go into the bone there for a couple. But she's doing good. She's doing good. She's not back to work yet, though, because talking for more than like 10 minutes a day is still quite a chore for her. But she's been spending a lot of time in Pocopia.
You and me both. Well, her and me both, rather.
I just started a save file last night, so I am in there now. But
I saw that meme, and I can't remember if I sent it to you or not. And it was something like me. I finally got my first section cleaned up, and it was like other people. Cool, I built God, and it's just that giant Pokeball and Arceus. Oh my! First of all, holy shit, it was incredible. If you haven't seen it yet, I know it's starting to go viral if it hasn't already. But secondly, how much time does something like that take to put together? And the game has only been out not even a week at this point. Like, it came out on Thursday, right?
Yeah, it came out Thursday because we went to Best Buy before we went to her oral surgeon.
Priorities.
Yep, that was we woke up and we knew, and Pocobia came out. Dude, that's when we bought a Switch 2. We bought a Switch 2 Thursday. Like, that was so. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as long as, because I mean, do you really want to go anywhere to get something before, like, right after your wisdom tooth? No. So yeah, you made the right choice.
We got it all set up. It was good.
Speaking of making the right choice, anybody watching definitely made the right choice to tune in to Dirt Sheet Radio's NXT Rewind. Let's get the show going here. We started with a package for Vengeance Day this past Saturday, walking us through the whole event. And then we kick off with the new Women's North American Champion, Tatum Paxley.
Tatum Tuesday.
Tatum Tuesday, of course. And especially now that she's got gold back around her waist. But she comes out, she talks about the match on Saturday against Izzy Dame.
Mhm.
She talks about her connection with the crowd. She gave the whole
Got the
"I won
unit
it for
chant,
us."
you know.
Yeah. Very, very much like Rocky sort of reaction as well. You know, like Tatum is big over in the in the PC.
They love her. They love her. I mean,
Now-
what's not to love, you know.
Well, I mean, that question was answered by Izzy Dame, who came out and basically she shows this video package of Tatum in her early days of NXT and tried to use it as like saying that she hasn't actually changed as much as she's claiming she has. Yeah, no,
it's she didn't even have really a character there other than like I'm new to wrestling. You know what I mean? Like it really. I actually kind of forgot that she had an era where she wasn't all dark and goth. I mean that feels like 20 years ago. Obviously, it was like 4, but nonetheless, it was NXT 2.0, right? I mean, it was all splattery and bright. So
I think she because they did show Diamond Mine.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because that, first of all, that was a throwback in and of itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you said, it was NXT 2.0. It was one of those eras where you definitely weren't looking at Tatum Paxley, that's for sure.
Right.
Like you had a men's division that was on fire. You had a women's division that was really coming into its own. Like it had its established stars, but I think that was the first year of the breakout tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's where you're really starting to develop this new crop of talent, and Tatum Paxley just wasn't standing out. But then she got into this goth weird character, and of course that's going to resonate with a bunch of fucking weirdos. But
yeah, there's I mean that's yeah, you're not wrong.
Ourselves included.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. But Izzy basically calls her shot for the rematch, says that she wants to beat Tatum, and then we see
she lays her out with a power bomb.
Yeah, like basically had her exit cut off by the rest of the culling, and massive power bomb onto Tatum Paxley.
Which at this point, can we just acknowledge that Sean Spears and Nico Vance are little more than Izzy Dame's like bodyguards at this point?
I gotta be honest, I had completely forgotten what Nico Vance's name was and couldn't be bothered to look it up because I knew you would say it first.
And I'm going to be honest, the only reason I remember it is because I went to high school with a Robert Vance, who was the son of our theater's technical direction, Mrs. Vance. So shout out to Robert and Diana Vance. I know they're not watching this because none of them were wrestling fans, but hey, they were good people. But yeah, that's the only reason I remember those, because I know some Vances. So Nico Vance, no relation to them as far as I would assume.
You also had Bob Vance from Bob Vance Refrigeration.
There you go. See, that really should, who technically was also a Robert Vance when you break it
Very
down.
true. Is that what Robert Vance went on to do after high school?
Oh my God, it all connects now. Scranton ain't that far from Ohio, you know.
There you go.
Yeah, but no, this I dug this segment. I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse here, as we'll get to the follow-up segments later tonight. But I will say that I'm glad, as much as I've enjoyed this program, I am glad that there is an end in sight to this feud, and I think it'll be good that everyone can just move on and go on to their next programs and feuds, because this has been good, but my goodness, it has been going on for, I mean, if you factor in the entire time that she was being courted by the Calling, through her joining the Calling, to winning the title, being kicked out by it's been like, what, half a year?
Well, and that was the thing, like they showed a package before their match at Vengeance Day that really highlighted how long they had been going for, and yeah, it was something like well over a year. And so I think this having Izzy win the title was a nice breath of fresh air into their feud, but you're right. I think it has run its course, and one way or another, hopefully it ends. More to come on that, though, because throughout the nights, we see more from Tatum Paxley, Shiloh Hill getting into the mix as well.
So fun. This is going to be fun.
Lots to talk about.
It's a good time. It's playful Raw.
Oh, 100%. Our first match of the night, Jasper Troy in a triple threat match against Eli Knight and Sean Legacy. Now, this match... Oh, wait a second. Quick mention. There was a... Ricky Saints and Ethan Page getting on the same page, no pun intended, before their tag team main event. This triple threat match, I think I was just so excited to talk about this match because it was...
It's good. It was good.
Oh, it was. Like, you expect a triple threat match to have some certain elements, like the no disqualification factor, which really came in handy because at one point in the match, right before the first commercial break, Keanu Carver comes out and just bombs Jasper Troy through the announce table.
And then it's all in the face of Booker T after, just causing destruction and continuing the issues between Keanu Carver and Booker T going back to, the word just fell out of my head, LFG. I guess letters fell out of my head, LFG. But real quick, before we get into like the meat of the match here, I have to say Jasper Troy is starting to grow on me a little bit. I still have my criticisms of him. First and foremost, get rid of the chain. I hate the chain. They're piping in a fake sound effect because those are plastic chains. I have them hanging on my mailbox out front of the house right now. They're identical. He bought them from Spirit Halloween, and they don't actually make a damn sound, and I find it so frustrating. That being said, he's starting to do things that are more subtle, that are giving him more just pop and character and making him look more intimidating, but like within the confines of the match. During the entrances, he tried to push forward towards Eli Knight, and was held back by the referee. And it was really subtle and it was really quick, but it's something that I really dug. And also, his selling during the second half of the match after he somehow got back up from that like massive toss through the table there, he was selling the hell out of that, even to the point where he wasn't able to get Sean Legacy up in the air his first attempt. And at first I'm like, did he screw that move up? No, I think he was just adequately selling what happened outside the ring. He's holding one arm down for the bulk of the rest of the match. Fantastic work. I've given Jasper Troy a bunch of shit on this show, and I'm not apologizing for it because I think everything I said has been right. However, I think he's improving and he's growing on me here. Now, that being said, Eli Knight, and Sean Legacy, they were just smoking it. Like, while he was down outside, that gave them several minutes of just one-on-one, unadulterated, high adrenaline action. And it was fantastic. I seriously, you know what? They could do this match every week for like the next 3 or 4 weeks, and I'd be satisfied with it. Don't do that, though. That's lazy booking. But it was fantastic. This had quite the finish, though, because as Jasper got back into the ring, they had to double team the guy again. Super kicks are flying, and they both pinned him. The ref counted the 3 and actually awarded the pinfall victory to both Sean Legacy and Eli Knight. Yeah. Double pin, 12 minutes, 4 seconds. Now, there have been double pin situations in professional wrestling before, but typically they would hold the match in abeyance after that. There would not be a winner declared. CJ, can you ever think of a time in a triple threat match where 2 men pinned 1 person and they were both declared the winner?
Not a triple threat match, but I mean, FTR was 24/7 champion at the same time.
Okay. How did Chyna and Chris Jericho end up both being IC champ? Was that a triple threat situation?
Oh, God,
I know, we're talking 25 years ago now.
Dude, I was still single-digit age. I had not even been allowed to start watching wrestling yet. So, Yeah, that is a
I'm
little
old!
before my time. Not trying to make you feel old or anything, but I do see some gray hairs poking out a little.
Oh
No,
my
I'm just kidding.
Are you kidding me? The beard. Like the lighting's not too bright in here, but if I fan my hair out, you can really see the gray cascading in there. It's distinguished though. That's what I'm telling myself.
Because that's what gets you through the day.
Every
Now-
single day.
Now, I also really enjoyed the finish of this match. It was, again, like you said, something that they haven't done a whole lot. The part that blew my mind was just the singles match, basically, that Jasper Troy ended up sitting out of. But yeah, like those two have such chemistry, and we learn later on in the night the implication of this dual pinfall victory for both of them. But the other thing was, I'm glad you brought up Troy selling his injuries at the back end of that match, because I also thought he had botched a couple moves. But then I think you were right. I think it was just a really good sell, and I think that's also kind of started turning me around on him. Where do you see this feud with Keanu Carver going? Because we have it's basically a big man match with no stakes, and it feels like either guy can't lose. You know, like they have to win.
Yeah. Yep. I feel the same way about that. They're both in positions where losing would be, I'm going to say, relatively detrimental. His loss tonight is excusable and understandable. The spot through the table, getting the bejesus double teamed out of him for the remainder of that. That's an understand. Two guys on you. I mean, it's understandable. But in the situation with Keanu Carver, I think it would hurt either of theirs momentum to lose that match. So I really don't know. I mean, they could maybe, at least for their first confrontation, set up some sort of mutually assured destruction type thing where they, battle outside the ring and like go through something like a part of the stage or something of that nature, where it's kind of like a no contest ending, so no one really loses, but no one wins. Or it's NXT, they could pull something like that and literally just have them brawling backstage for the remainder of the show and have it go that way. But again, in the end, someone has to win that program between the two of them. You can't just have it indefinitely stretch out with no contests. But I would say right now, if I had to knee-jerk reaction pick one over the other, I would probably pick Keanu Carver. I think right now he's got more personality, he's got more pop. When I shared the clip of that bump over on the Pro Wrestling Hipster page on Facebook, and I flat out said that Keanu Carver is a scary dude. Like, he just is. Like, I buy him being intimidating. I buy him being a tough guy. I buy him being aggressive. I believe what he's doing. And I think it helped a lot that Booker T kind of pulled back from him when he got in his face. Like, Booker T seems like he's a little bit afraid of Keanu Carver. And I think that also adds to the legitimacy of his character. But like right now, I would put him over Jasper. But like I said, that's going to really derail what Jasper has done thus far.
And you talk about Keanu being intimidating. Do you not get that same feeling out of Jasper Troy?
Yes and no. Yes, in that, like, when he's in the ring, he's pretty dominant. I believe his offense, and again, after tonight, I believe his selling pretty well too. But the damn chains, him just Jacob Marley in his ass to the ring, like he's going to yell at Scrooge. Like, the ones he's wearing are fake. The one in maybe one of his hands that he leaves back there, one of those, no. They're all, I can't believe any of them are real. Kayfabe can't save this for me. No, but like that hurt. It's so silly but it bothers me to the point that, like, I think the chains are fake, and it hurts my belief in him. It's so dumb. It's kind of like, it's a little worse than this, but it's like how I don't like when people bring weapons to the ring that they can't use in the match. Obviously, you could use a chain potentially, but like, it's like Drew McIntyre's sword or Carmen Petrovic's sword. Like, it looks kind of neat, but it's also really dumb.
I think it kind of ties into when Triple H was bringing the sledgehammer out. You know, like, it became his signature weapon, and I think that's what they're trying to go for with people bringing swords out, or weapons in general, even if it's a straight up one-on-one match, especially if they're babyface, because Drew wouldn't risk a disqualification using the sword in a match when he's a good guy. It obviously now is a different story, but I think there's a lot of kind of old school mentality that way. I don't even know if that's the right term for it, but I see where you're going to, because I also have the belief that if you have a weapon and it makes it on camera, then you got to use it.
Well, and the sledgehammer is like just such another wild example of that too, because like, you would kill somebody with that, flat out. Like
even if it was one of those rubber mallets, that would probably still do some damage too if you crack someone over the head with it, because that's like pure rubber.
Yeah, or like even like, remember back when Raven was Scotty Flamingo and he brought the croquet mallet with him? A croquet mallet would do some serious damage. Like, good lord. That's a deep cut there. Scotty Flamingo, after he was Scotty the Body. Sorry, there was that cat hair on my screen there. But yeah.
And he became Raven.
And history was made. But now,
before we move on, though, one more thing that I want to talk about with this double pin, because I didn't know at the time if they were actually going to use it or not. It doesn't seem like they will, but when they went for the pinfall, they showed it on the replay. Knight's pin started before Legacy's.
Oh,
so
okay. I didn't catch that.
It wasn't a perfect 1-to-1. Sean was about a second or second and a half behind. But if they did decide to be like, someone has to be declared a winner in this point, and we have to pick a definitive reason for why it's you and not you, then that's why.
Now, do you think that was an intentional thing, or do you think that was just a slight off on the timing of the finish?
I do think it is a slight thing now. I think it was just a mistiming, whether Knight was too early or Legacy was a second behind, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna impact things at all. Just minor observation, really, on my end. So after that, we had Tatum Paxley backstage.
Loved this.
this whole there's a few of these segments throughout the night, but in this one we had Tatum starting her search for Izzy Dame and the culling. She runs into Shiloh Hill, and she mentions to Shiloh that she wants to catch Izzy before she leaves. This turns on a light bulb in Shiloh's head, which
is always terrifying.
100%.
For someone, that's going to be bad news for somebody. When he gets an idea, it is detrimental to the well-being of others.
And as far as knowing what this idea is at this point, he just grabs a I don't even know what it was.
It was a tire iron.
Tire iron. Okay, that is a tire iron. Okay. Yeah, he grabs a tire iron and says, "Well, I know how to stop them." Basically, this whole thing.
Oh, it's such a fun little series of segments tonight with this. I can't get enough of Shiloh Hill. We've talked about Shiloh Hill for a very long time, between not just the NXT Rewinds, but the Level Up adventure, going back to that. And not just that, but like, you and I have followed his social media, was it to remember what his name was.
His YouTube channel.
Yeah, his dark web musings and journeys. Buying the blood-stained boots that had a computer chip in them. He made a little robot that he named Oz after the Kevin Nash character. Like it's so good, and like I was so glad that when they started putting him on NXT proper here, that they worked those bits into his personality. So he's not just this crazy wild man from the woods. He's technologically savvy. He's got like a genius level IQ, but he can be ultra violent. He's such a well-rounded character already, and he's just so lovable.
Now, do you think he's leaning too hard into comedy right now? Or do you think he's going to have a nice balance of comedic but also impactful in the ring?
I think he's still safe at this point because he's goofy and funny, and they've kind of equated this with the teeth. But when he pops the teeth out, it's almost like a shift, and he gets so much more violent. And I think that they have shown that violent side of him enough that the comedy doesn't really take too much away. But again, though, leaning into that, you don't want to push too hard in that. But we're no longer in the era of, Vinnie Mac seeing that somebody's humorous and just hinging their entire character on that. We're a ways from that now. But that being said,
you hope so, anyways.
Yeah, I do. I think as long as they periodically show his chaotic and violent side on a regular basis, as long as they have ways to do that, I think he'll be safe with it. But also, if you're not going to have him in a match, this is a great way to get him on TV. And it shows, I think, how highly management thinks of him right now. That they're going to put him in a multi-segment thing. Even if he's not wrestling, he's going to be in multiple segments throughout the night. And it speaks well for him. And I'm happy for that because I just think he's got superstar written all over him. I really do. He's got it all. He's got that intangible it factor. He's shucky ducky, man. He's got it.
Should he have won season 1 of LFG?
He's a better winner of LFG, but maybe he wasn't quite done cooking yet. Then I would have preferred him to have won earlier, but maybe that was just they timed it right clearly because he's more over than Jasper Troy is, and Jasper Troy's held a belt. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, it was a speed title.
Yeah,
but he still held a belt, and I actually think he elevated that belt a little bit, as opposed to the belt really elevating him. I think he brought a little more credibility to it, but I think that without question, Shiloh Hill is more over than Jasper Troy. Shiloh Hill has been featured better than Jasper Troy, despite the fact that Shiloh Hill has been on NXT proper for several months less than Jasper Troy. And I'll even say this, when I went to NXT here in Columbus with the wife, the opening match was Trick Williams and Shiloh Hill, and Shiloh was still on LFG at that time, and he got a little pop from maybe 50 or 60 really ardent people that knew who he was, but by the end of that match, he was getting cheered and people were fully behind him, and that was with Trick in the ring. Now, granted, Trick was still healing it up as, TNA champion at the time. So other than, getting chanted for during the entrance, he was booed anyway. But my point is, though, by the end of the match, people were on Shiloh's side and he won them over. He's just got that charisma where people want to believe in him and get behind him. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, we've definitely gone on multiple tangents, so I think we just power through because I want to talk about our next segment.
Yes.
The start of our next match. So we had the Birthright, which I finally remembered because I have it written down on my phone. But the Birthright backstage warming up for their match, and Connor says his dad made a call. So obviously teasing that someone outside Birthright is going to have an impact on this match.
Yep.
Which, of course, we did see. But yeah, we had the NQCC reunion in a tag team match against Lexus King's Birthright stable. It was a solid tag team match for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not that one. But yeah, we had good back and forth action, and we had it was like the NQCC never broke up.
Yeah.
They were working well together.
Mm-hmm.
They were hugging on the outside of the ring.
Yeah.
And then
Until
out comes Dave Finlay and William Regal. William Regal, of course, being Charlie Dempsey's dad. Now, it was almost like a switch flipped as soon as these guys came out. And Dempsey turned on his former stablemate and hit a really nice suplex. But that did end up costing them the match, as the Birthright beats what remained of the NQCC as Charlie Dempsey stands tall with his new second generational stable.
Yes.
Now, the match itself I thought was fantastic. But I am so glad that they are back to doing something meaningful with Charlie Dempsey.
Yes, it has been far too long since he's been really on NXT in an impactful way. He's had some matches here or there. Gosh, I feel like he's appeared more on TNA in the ring than he did on NXT lately. But yeah, he's too good of a talent to just be hanging around. Now, there's a lot of people in NXT that are very talented that you can say that of, but like they were doing so much with him with the NQCC. They split that all apart. They had that go the way of the dodo, and then he just kind of disappeared off of television for the most part. Had a couple matches, Ren got him a match with Joe Hendry once upon a time, and after that loss to Joe Hendry, Charlie did just kind of disappear from television for the most part. Of course, I see him every week on the Ren's Day segments that Ren Sinclair posts. And she's probably going to have some harsh words for him tomorrow on Ren's Day. But it was a waste for him to not be doing anything. And I'm all here for this. This is good for Lexis King. This is going to be good for Charlie. This is, it's going to be good for Ariana Grace. It's going to be great for Uriah Connors. And hey, Stax is there. So that's something. He's still
Heritage Cup champion.
Stax Lorenzo. And again, guys, just to clarify, because people keep asking this question on posts, on Dirt Sheet Radio's page, on the Hipster page. No, Channing Stax Lorenzo is not a second-generation wrestler. He just happens to be sleeping with one.
Exactly. Mrs.
Osmosis.
Soon to be, soon to be Mrs. Channing Stax Lorenzo is also the daughter of TNA's Director of Authority, Santino Marella, in case you weren't aware. Now, having Charlie Dempsey as part of this stable, like, I'm not saying that I didn't believe in this group before Charlie Dempsey joined, but what a shot in the arm that this group gets, adding Charlie Dempsey into this group.
Now, do you think that it's pretty evident that the WWE or NXT, I guess, via NXT, did want Dave Finlay, who is now over in which is he his second? Who's older, Uriah or Dave Finlay, who is now in AEW?
I think David is the older one.
Okay. He does look a little bit older, but it's hard to tell in wrestling. It's facial hair can do a lot for people. But I think it's pretty evident that they did want him for this stable. Rumor on the street is that his contract was going to be solely an NXT deal for the time being, and he wasn't groovy with that. And so he chose to, go to AEW. And I can understand his perspective on that. It would have been nice to see him there as well. But, the addition of Charlie, as you said, is a big shot in the arm for them. And a picture on social media that was going around had, Fit and William Regal in the photograph with the Birthright. So I don't know if they're going to be involved, with the stable a lot going forward. But that would also be quite the get there if they're going to be involved with any regularity. But it's a pretty badass shot, I'm not going to lie. And I don't know that I ever would have referred to a picture that involved Lexus King and Stax as badass. But here we are, just, as the youth would say, just farming the aura. I think I used that right.
Well, and this isn't the first time we'd seen William Regal and Charlie Dempsey interacting on TV and NXT. The difference, I think, really being that they had more disrespect in that interaction, but then Charlie was so quick to switch up as soon as he saw his dad.
Yep.
So I'm interested to see, if they do keep the Legends on a recurring TV basis now, or if it was just kind of a. But this is the other thing too. This whole my dad called your dad because you didn't want to play with us. That is such elementary school bullshit.
Hey,
just the way it played out was so much better. But when you boil it down to it, that is exactly what happened.
it is Hickenbottom High, but that is a little more elementary for them, I suppose. But yeah, that is, I didn't even think about it in that way. But yeah, my dad called his dad. Was this the first time that they flat out said that William Regal is Charlie Dempsey's father on television?
I think flat out, yes.
They just made jokes about it, like, what kind of man are you going to be, Charlie? Like, things like that. But
yeah, they definitely alluded to it in the past, but I think this was the very first time. And also the first time that they paired Uriah Connors and Finlay.
Yep. They've never, again, they've been mentioning his father. They had several weeks ago, they had Lexus King say, your father would be proud of you. I know mine is. And skated off on his throne.
Skated off on his throne.
I don't know how they work that thing, but I just imagine that there are two skateboards underneath that throne, and they're just stagehands pulling him to the side. That's...
But I'm sure it's a platform, but now it's 100% two skateboards.
Yep, just whoop, there we go.
Or would they have to be longboards for thrown that wide?
They would be, yeah, they'd have to be. Probably reinforced a little bit too.
Probably. So after this match, we had a bit of an extended sequence of promos. The first one being part 2 of the Tatum Paxley search for Izzy Dame. So we see the Culling try and leave the building, and as you can see behind Nico Vance, their car is propped up on cinder blocks,
right?
And all 4 tires are stolen.
God.
Now, the other thing to note, which obviously you can't tell by a picture, damn near every single other car in the parking lot is going off.
Yeah.
It's then revealed that, yes, Shiloh Hill took the Cullings tires off their car, but he wasn't sure which car was theirs, so he had to break into every single other car. And before even getting to the Cullings car, that had to be the last car in the lot that he thought to check.
Yep. It's always the last one you check, man. That's always how it goes. But yeah, at least he didn't go to the effort to take the tires off of every vehicle in the NXT parking lot. Wow, that would have been something, though.
Well, he'd still be doing it if that was the case.
Yeah. Unless it's just that country boy know-how, and he's got some sort of pneumatic device he didn't show before. He's just out there, just like a NASCAR pit crew removing tires.
I was gonna say, literally just Speedy Gonzalez with a pit
just out there. But yeah, he's a blast, man. I love Shiloh Hill so much. But yeah, Robert Stone was, trying to get this information from Shiloh, and he's, directed him to go inside where there weren't, a dozen car alarms blaring. This is the most dangerous parking lot in all of professional wrestling, so it makes sense.
Very true. I loved that sequence between Shiloh Hill and Robert Stone, where they start the conversation outside, and Shiloh's trying to talk to him about what he did. So then he's like, there's alarms going off. You have to speak up. So he starts yelling. Okay, let's go inside where there's not alarms going. They go inside. Shiloh Hill starts yelling at Robert Stone a foot away from his face in an empty hallway. God, like
inside voices.
But just absolute genius.
Mm-hmm.
I think Shiloh Hill is going to go far for sure.
Now, I got to ask this question regarding Shiloh before we kind of move on here. Because you said, like, everything he does seems so well done, so well put together. Do you think he's being directed very, very well? Or do you think a lot of this is just stuff he's deciding to kind of do and roll with?
I think seeing him on LFG and just the kind of person that he is, I think this is all him.
Yeah.
You know, like, he might get a little direction or suggestion,
Right.
but I think that a lot of this is on him. And if it's not, then kudos to whoever is dictating his character direction.
Well, I tend to agree with you that it probably is more him than anything else, in large part because we saw what kind of character he kind of developed with that social media presence, with all the dark web videos and everything. Mm-hmm. I by the way, I had to struggle not to whisper dark web when I said that just there. Thank you, Letterkenny.
Shout out Letterkenny.
Yeah.
Man, I was going to go off on a Letterkenny tangent, but you know what? We got to carry on with the show. So our next promo was Tony D'Angelo coming out. He talked about his match against Dion Lennox on Saturday. He called himself a no word, calling himself the toughest son of a bitch in the locker room. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if cable television is going to like that one.
Right.
But then he said, he revealed his reason number 2 for coming back to NXT. He wants the NXT Championship.
For that
now,
gold.
He did still get what I would say is a positive reaction from the crowd, especially when he swore. But there was the part where he started talking to Joe Hendry directly.
Right.
And I definitely started getting heel vibes, which, I mean, you put anybody up against Joe Hendry that's not a plain white babyface, and they're going to wind up being heel. But it did get, like, and Tony even said this was personal for him. It did really feel like Tony had more of a problem with Joe than just that he was holding on to the NXT title. I'm sure that was just good delivery on Tony's part, like they don't actually have beef backstage, but it was definitely like he might actually rip Hendry's head off. Yeah.
He sounds serious and just very believable. And this was a very good promo from Tony D tonight. I was reticent of the character when they first brought him back, mostly because just transitioning from a fairly cartoony mob boss, it was going to be a tough go and a little bit of a tough sell. But having him come in and, you know, that first major target be Darkstate, who he viewed of, you know, taking everything from him, it gave him that air of just toughness and legitimacy, and you believe the anger, you believe the rage, and you believe the toughness. And tonight, I think he came across here just super well. This is a Tony D'Angelo that could transition to the main roster.
100%. And definitely not a promo that we would have seen from Tony, the D'Angelo mob boss.
No.
I think you're right. This is a gimmick that is better suited for the main roster.
Yeah.
It still very much reminds me of Leo Kruger.
Yeah.
You know, like pre-Adam Rose, and I hope that's not a sign of things to come, but I think there's a lot of potential with this gimmick. My only downside is Joe Hendry is still super over.
Yeah.
And he's still doing a hell of a run as NXT champion, especially now that it feels like he's got not just Ricky Saints, but Ethan Page on his doorstep. So now it's going to be like a when the dust settles kind of thing to see who steps up for Stand and Deliver. There's a good chance it's a fatal four-way match.
Right. There's a lot of directions they could go here. I mean, with the interjection of Ethan and Ricky still there, that could stretch out the time before he even gets to Tony D'Angelo. Like, so they could have a lot more time between him and Tony. Because I will say, as much as I'm enjoying this gimmick for him and how well I think it's going to course his career, I don't see the main event of Stand and Deliver being Tony D and Joe Hendry. Now, I could be wrong. They could really do some things over the next few weeks that would make that a, marquee match. But, like, if they're going to do that, it would have to be a fatal four-way or a triple threat. Just because I don't think that can carry the main event of Stand and Deliver. And again, no disrespect, because I like what they're doing, and they keep doing this, I might be talking differently about it in a few weeks. Because, like I said, I think this is just This is better work than Tony D'Angelo was doing with the family. The family was so entertaining and so much fun. They're throwing people in the lake. They're kidnapping people and burying them in the desert. It's great. It's fun. It's goofy and cartoony. But he's doing better work now, and maybe that's just by virtue of it being further into his career. I don't know who's coaching him. I don't know who works with character development. Again, I don't know how much of this is him walking up to Shawn Michaels and saying, this is what I'm seeing with my character. This is the direction I want to go. I think that, it'll help me, further myself and actually have a long-term career here. But it's good. He's doing a good job with it. I fell off my train of thought there. So I'm just going to say again, Tony D's killing it right now. Oh, sorry, that's where I was going. But it's not, at this point, it's not suitable to main event the biggest show that NXT does every year.
It's not that I don't think he's main event material for Stand and Deliver, because I very much think he is. A lot of the NXT longtime viewers are going to know who he is. They're going to appreciate this new character, and it's going to be interesting enough that they're going to want to tune in. Mm-hmm. My problem with Joe Hendry and Tony D at Stand and Deliver is the alternative for Ricky Saints and Ethan Page is one-on-one with each other. And we've seen that already.
Right.
Granted, last time we saw it, the roles were reversed, and we have Saints as the heel, and I'm assuming Page would be going in as the face. But that match still feels beneath them for what they should be doing at Stand and Deliver. But that being said, if they did want to give Tony the ball and run with it, even better, the Fatal 4-Way is the one to do it. Because I imagine Hendry and Page are going to wind up getting called up.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Basically, right after
you thought, I was going to ask you if you thought that they would, drop the belt potentially from Hendry to Tony D because of the season. And I don't think we're going to have Joe Hendry on NXT for very much longer. I think they really just want to have him, be the standard bearer for a few months, get that in it, so they can say he was NXT champion, because that's going to sound better when he's on the main roster too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's probably going to be on the main roster after Mania. And you're right, Paige is done. Paige is cooked. Not cooked in the sense that my kids would say it, but he's done cooking in the sense that, he honestly could have gone to the main roster probably as soon as he came to the company. But I think this run in NXT benefited him greatly, in large part that it gave him that much more sadistic, violent edge that he adapted during his feud with Javon Evans. I thought that just cranked him up to just a higher level of heel, and it was so good for him. And hell, they could always run that back a little bit on the main roster too. He and Javon Evans work well together.
I think the thing that endeared me to Ethan Page during his time in NXT the most was actually his work with Chelsea Green. That And I think that chemistry would carry them well onto the main roster as well once Paige makes the jump, if he ends up on the same show as Chelsea Green, which I hope he does.
Yeah. They'd be very foolish to not try to use that on the main roster. They'd be so silly. That is, like, I don't use this phrase often because I think it sounds so silly, but like that is money on the table if they don't do that. They are leaving it right there because they're just so fun together. And I mean, even if they have him up there and Chelsea is still hurt in that time frame, they can still do some wonderful television together.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's not like they haven't addressed it on the main roster either. Like, I remember Chelsea had a match. Oh, it was when she won the U.S. title back. Ethan was in the crowd.
Yep.
But yeah, so I think there is some history that they can lean on there as well.
Absolutely.
Moving on to our next backstage segment, we had Sol Ruca and Lola Vice meeting up in the locker room while Sol's getting ready for her match, which actually was coming up next. But yeah, they talked about Zarya and they talked about a few other things, but they did also have Lola call her shot if Sol walks away with the NXT Women's Championship.
Yep.
We also had one of my contenders for segment of the night. Now, you look at this picture, and out of context, you would have no idea what came before. Essentially, Ren QCC and Miles Bourne had to go backstage looking for Joe Hendry. And Ren was like, oh, I know how to do it. So she said Joe Hendry's name and then opened the fridge door.
Yep.
Because he had already done that.
Yep.
And so I don't know if that's just how she always thought he appeared was via fridge.
Well, maybe she thought once a gateway of Hendry's was open, that he could always use that particular portal through time and space.
Fair enough.
Well, I guess just through time, or space, rather. He doesn't really travel through space or time. He just...
I mean, maybe. But that's a whole other tangent for another day. Now, yeah, the only thing in the fridge was the cake. Joe was standing by anyways, and, ended up talking with Miles about their match. And then we see Kendall Gray stuffing her face with the cake. This felt like just a euphoric segment for me.
Yeah.
Character work at its absolute best. Nobody really being, well, I mean, obviously Kendall being the comedic character for the segment, but I mean, I still take her seriously as a wrestler, 100%.
Oh,
yeah. Real good character work all around. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a blast. And it was a nice little callback to the short-lived teaming of Rick Sinclair and Joe Hendry.
It's yeah, I guess so.
Because it gave way to the Thea Hale angle quickly. I felt like they originally were going to use Ren in that completely because they had her dressing like Hendry, and then it was like 2 weeks later it's all Thea, which is fine. Love Thea Hale,
We'll talk about Thea Hale a little.
Yeah, we'll talk about the emotional wreck that I was going into that match. But...
No, I can only imagine. But we do have our next match on the card: Lainey Reed taking on Sol Ruca. This was easily match of the night for me. Like 100%.
Yeah.
Both women were on fire. Lainey Reed looked like $1 million.
Yeah, Lainey
throughout
Reed,
this entire match.
I wrote flat out. I wrote Lainey is good. All caps on good. She, I think, has been a little bit slept on and underrated in her time here. I think that so much of the focus of Fatal Influence is on Fallon Henley and Jacy Jane, obviously. I mean, they've both been there a lot longer. Jacy's the women's champion. Fallon the speed champion. Fallon's been North American champion. But so I think people kind of push Lainey to the back burner when they look at that group. And even in defeat here, she, like you said, she looked like $1,000,000. 12 minutes, 56 seconds. I think this was also the longest match of the night at nearly 13 minutes. They gave them a lot of time. They told a really compelling story in the ring, which in large part dealt with Sol Ruca having to overcome the numbers game for the first time in her career without someone in her corner. Normally, the entire time she has tangled with JC or anyone for Fatal Influence, she's had Zarya right there. And that was part of what they were doing here, was her proving to the NXT faithful and herself that she, in fact, did not need Zarya. And you see her watching there, and you know that Zarya's got to be fuming at that, because she is, in fact, realizing that she was just dead weight to Sol Ruca. Again, Sol getting the win here. Fantastic match. It was great. I think that it did great work, not just for Sol and Laney, but it did some good for the ongoing feud between Zarya and Sol. I still would have preferred that Sol somehow turned heel between the two of them, because I would have liked to have seen her work as a heel. But I can't complain about the program, because they're firing on all cylinders with this one.
Now, my thoughts on Sol Ruca, but Laney Reed looked absolutely incredible in this match tonight. I think it's like you said, it's not necessarily that she was getting slept on, but she did kind of have an awkward introduction into the group, basically taking over for Jasmine Nix. Yeah. And I don't know if it was because of that, or just because the focus was still very much on the other 2/3 of Fatal Influence. Mm-hmm. But, because you look at Fallon Henley and you look at JC Jane, and both of them are wearing titles.
Right.
A good chunk of the time. And I'm so glad that Laney got this showcase, because it showed everybody the potential that she has to stand out on her own, or if they do decide to have Fatal Influence run the gambit, she could stand on her own with the North American title.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those performances, and I don't know the guy, I'm not in his head, but this is one of those performances where I have to imagine that Shawn Michaels is sitting at Gorilla, and he's watching this, and at some point in this match, at some point in those 13 minutes, I feel like he had to have leaned back in his chair and just went, oh. And just, it clicked. Because, she was so good in this match, to the point where I thought she was going to beat Sol Ruca. But, obviously, Sol needed the win here. It's not going to hurt Laney Reed in the long run to have lost. But, goodness gracious, I really hope that management saw what we here tonight, as fans saw, because she's got it. And another thing, talking about Jasmine Nix, that might have actually hurt her in more ways than one. You're right, she just cracked the crap out of Jasmine Nix, kicked her out of the group, literally just waltzed into her spot. Jasmine Nix, no disrespect intended here, she wasn't very good. And I think maybe there was some just kind of stink of that put onto Laney from just taking that spot, because Jasmine really was the thirdest of third wheels. Remember when she wasn't on television for a few weeks and we just flat out thought she got released?
What a time.
Yeah, and then she came back and we're like, oh, she must still be under contract. And then 3 weeks later, she was released. Or
she pulled a Brooks Jensen and just showed up anyways.
Right, it's I'm still employed here. It's very George Costanza of her. But no, she wasn't, and to say she wasn't good, she just wasn't suited to be a professional wrestler. It's not everybody's, bag. She tried it for, a year or 2 years, whatever her contract was. And I don't know if it was that they released her or she opted to not resign. I can't remember what the situation was. I
believe it was she chose not to resign.
Okay, so it ain't her bag. You know what I mean? And that was that. And actually, they mentioned her tonight on air, didn't they?
I
thought Laney mentioned her, but there was so much going on tonight. It kind of goes.
It was a very full show, which means we should probably move on to our next segment.
Yes.
In Robert Stone's office, we're talking about the implications of the double pin that we talked about earlier in their triple threat with Jasper Troy. Elio LaFleur, the Speed champion, said, well, hell, I'll take on both of them or one of them or whatever. And in comes Vanity Project, who are basically wanting to set up the match of the night for Stand and Deliver, very much implying that Legacy and Knight were gonna be challenging. We find out a little bit later that was only part of the plan.
Yeah.
We do see the full setup and full scope of Stand and Deliver as far as the tag team division's concerned. After that, Blake...
real quick, I just want to interject. Elio LaFleur, I believe, is the first French-born, like legitimately French-born, champion in WWE since Andre the Giant.
I do believe you are correct in that. Was Rene Dupree born in France?
I'm going to check that right now. Rene Dupree, birthplace.
Open.
He is from Canada.
Oh no, he's from Canada. Yeah.
New Brunswick.
Nothing against my fellow countrymen. Shout out Canada, but I was genuinely hoping that you were from France.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm just a hideous American here who's terrible with geography. Is New Brunswick? Correct me if I'm wrong. That's not French Canada, right?
No, it's Atlantic Canada.
Okay, so I'll say so. He's not even French Canadian then.
No, he's just a Canadian who knows French,
which is probably very commonplace, I imagine. They teach you guys languages at a much younger age than they try here. But
I mean, Rob Conway, I'm pretty sure was American.
Oh yeah, okay, he was. But oh man, now I'm gonna have Rob Conway's entrance theme.
Oh,
look at me!
Look at me! Still, I think about that song, no joke, like once a month.
Yeah,
at a minimum.
I trim my beard to that song. I'm kidding, I don't. But now I should. That needs to be a reel that I post in the future. Just grooming tips from hipster.
But since we're talking about it, because now the theme is playing in my head, and I feel like I have to mention, the lyric goes, "The whole damn world wants to look like me, but they don't." Literally goes for everybody who's not a twin.
Yeah.
He's nobody in the world looks exactly the same.
No, it's even identical twins have typically have some minute differences there, but no, God, that was such a fun gimmick.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Rob Conway wherever you are, Mr. Conway, and we all still look at you from time to time.
Our next segment was Blake Monroe getting interviewed by Blake Howard. And yes, unfortunately, that is important to mention at this junction.
Yes, it is.
Interviewed backstage, we got the next part of Tatum Paxley's search for Izzy Dame. She interrupted, called out Blake, and both responded, yes. And now she ended that segment telling Blake Howard that he had to change his name.
Yeah, you got to do something about that name. So
well,
we'll see.
She did say specifically she owns that that name, among other things, belongs to her.
Interesting.
And when she said among other things, she was looking back at Tatum in the North American Championship.
So she is still gunning for the title. Obviously, it makes sense there that she would like to have that championship around her waist. But I would like to see this become kind of a thing over the next couple of weeks, because she can play some comedy here too. Just her going to Robert Stone, demanding that Blake Howard change his name, like her going to the call sheet and scribbling Blake off the sheet,
and just calling him Howard.
Getting Luca Crucifino to come represent her.
When was the last time we've seen Luca Crucifino?
Did he do anything after the family?
I can't remember seeing him. Like, I
Yeah.
know he had some appearances during the dissolution of the family,
Right.
but no, I don't think we've really seen him since.
Was he left in the desert? Was that the last we saw of him?
I mean, no, because I think he came back from the
And had a
desert.
promo with Tony, right? He and Tony
Yeah.
had a talk after. Okay.
But I mean, we still don't have any idea where. What was her name?
Adriana Rizzo.
Yes, thank you. Where she got to.
No. I think legitimately she is hurt. I think she had like a knee injury or something like that.
I can see. Yeah, that does sound familiar. But, you know, just like no storyline reason. She's just still in the wind.
In the safe house.
No one
He's in a
has
safe
seen
house
or heard
somewhere.
from her. We hope so.
Tony forgot. He's moved on. He had this big feud with Dark State, and he's probably back to be like, crap, I forgot about Adriana.
Nobody told her that the heat died down.
Yeah, she's just sitting somewhere, just like dozens and dozens of pizza boxes and DoorDash orders, because she's, oh my god, poor thing. She's probably pale as a ghost from not seeing sunlight for so long. Like, it's, oh.
Her accent just getting thicker and thicker.
She's gonna come out sounding like Chef Boyardee. It's gonna be wild.
That's her new gimmick is Chef Boyardee.
Mustache and
Okay.
everything, brother. Mustache and everything. All right, so I had emotional concerns going into this next match, man. Rin Sinclair with her good friend Kendall Gray taking on Thea Hale. Last week, when it became clear that this was the next match in this tournament, I was immediately worried because I can't choose between these two women in a wrestling match. They're just both so endeared to me. It's like trying to pick which one of my children is my favorite.
You do have a favorite, though.
Oh, I do, but I'm not going to say who it is, especially on air. Are you kidding me?
Oh, they don't watch this show.
Sometimes they do, if for no other reason than to know when I'm done up here so they can walk up the stairs. So sometimes, but I won't say. But I was concerned, and I will say, though, that being said, I wasn't going to be super angry at either of them winning this because I love Rin Sinclair, I love Thea Hale. They're both amazing talents and athletes. But when it was said and done, right there was at 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining.
Mm-hmm.
Rin Sinclair getting a win here, her second win ever on NXT. And next week, this will get her a shot at the Speed Championship. Sad for Thea Hale here, but I don't know. Thea, I still don't think they quite know what to do with her. I don't know if they really understand what her character is and where she fits in outside of the fraternity sorority type Chase U environment. Because, like, she's super high energy. You know, her social media presence is a lot of fun, too. It's a lot of coffee and type things because she's so over the top. But I don't really know what they need to do with her. I think she's great, but they just can't seem to get her to click here. And I think that's probably why they went with Rin Sinclair over Thea.
Well, and Thea is very much portraying this sort of scrappy underdog. And I think that largely stems from her accidentally winning the North American title.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think that's given her a renewed confidence. Not unearned, but
Right.
it's definitely, I don't even know if this is the right word, but misplaced.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, she's finding some success, but obviously losing in the final of the Speed tournament. So I'm sure to her it feels like she's starting back at square one again.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Do you think we see a character change for her? Like, does she need to turn heel to find her place?
You know what? At this point, I'd say do that. It's something different enough. It might be, you know, a shot of adrenaline in the arm for her, a complete revamp of the character. But the thing is, like, if they're going to make her more violent, they have to have her dial back the frantic pace that she goes with often, which is almost like she ends up kind of being like kind of a cute Tasmanian devil, and like you don't want cute in a heel, you know.
Right.
But if they made a heel out of Roxanne Perez,
I was just thinking about her.
they can do it with Thea Hale, and I think that's it, man. They got to do something with her, and I think that would be a good idea. Let her have that run. Let her find just something a little more violent, because the grown ass woman thing ain't working. And I don't like playing hot potato with gimmicks here, but she just, you know, the distance between Chase U and grown ass woman Thea Hale, it's not that far apart. You know, it's a lot. It was maybe like 7 or 8 months removed. It wasn't like super duper long, but this isn't an old gimmick for her. This is still fairly new for her, but it's just something about it's not quite gearing with the audience. And I would wonder if the inadvertent title win was a little more detrimental to her than helpful, because everyone knew it was an accident. There was no way of covering that. They kind of, and part of it was Blake on social media kind of even making jokes about it. Someone told her, I can't remember who responded to her, telling her, well, remember to kick out next time. And it was just like, that wasn't helpful to Thea Hale's believability as champion. Because, yeah, it looked like a fluke win. It looked like a slip on a banana peel win, because it wasn't supposed to happen. They made it clear it wasn't supposed to happen. And I think maybe that hurt her as well. But again, I don't know how much traction she really had before then anyway.
Well, and I think back to the fan reaction when they announced her as the new champion. Like, once the confusion settled and they realized, okay, we just got to carry on with this because, yeah, referee counted to 3. He called for the bell. It may not have been the outcome we intended, but Thea Hale is the new North American champion. Right. And the crowd really was behind her.
Yeah.
And it really makes me wonder, like, if they can't make her work as a babyface, then what's she gonna do on the main roster? Yeah, like, I mean, it's clear the audience wants to support Thea Hale, but if you can't figure out a face character that works, then you got to turn her heel. You lose that crowd support.
Right. But she can always get that back over enough time. But the thing is, Thea has always, like you said, she's always been that plucky underdog. From her beginnings of Chase U, the massive deal they made out of her first singles victory. You know, she got a certificate and an award from Andre Chase for winning a match. Like, it was a big deal, and they played that so long, and the crowd's always been on her side. But I feel like if you pull the rug from someone too many times, the crowd is going to wane in their support. It's just like, people were behind her. They destroyed Chase U. Okay, she comes back. People are glad to see her back. She kind of gets some footing. She gets a North American title shot against, you know, Blake Monroe. She wins. Like you said, the people were behind her. Like, what, 2 weeks later, boom, they pull the belt back. And I know it wasn't in their plans, but maybe they should have let her run with that for at least a couple of months to solidify herself as a champion. Because I think a lot of the fans, they were so, like you said, it was a fluke win, but they were behind her getting that belt. 2 weeks later, they pull it out from under you again. And it's just like, well, fuck, why am I cheering for her if they're not going to actually do anything sustained with her?
Well, and her basically falling on her sword at what, I don't even remember what pay-per-view it was, but when she lost it to Izzy Dame, she very much was like, I promised the crowd a title defense, and so I want to give a title defense. Yep. That didn't work for her either, because it really felt like that was just an effort to protect her, but protect her from what?
Yeah.
Like, she won the title in an unplanned way, so it's not like she had solid footing to stand on either. But the other thing with this match, speaking of the crowd support, they were really behind Ren Sinclair tonight.
Yes, they were. Again, just charisma, like, just dripping from both, honestly, Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair. but Ren just has just such a likable presence about her. And again, it's similar to what we were talking about with Thea Hale. There's something about her, you just want to see her succeed. You just want her to do well and succeed, like, because she's been a character on NXT for, God, when she come into the NQCC, was that about 1.5 years? Going on 2 years, maybe?
Oh God! Well, I mean, she was part of the NQCC. It felt like for a while, and then they split up, and they've been split up for a while.
Right. So I mean, she's been around for a while, and her first win was last week.
Wild.
You know, and so it's like, talk about like a long time to let people want to see you win, because like people. They've sent her out there, and she usually gets eaten raw like pretty quickly, which is fine. She was always learning, she was always training, she was always getting better. She's training with Charlie, she's training with Tavion, she's training with Miles. She's learning all these different disciplines. She's despite not having won a match, she had her own stable of her and Kendall, the Ren QCC, and they're fun, and she's fun and she's entertaining, and my goodness, she is a good wrestler.
I was very surprised, not the fact that she won, but by the fact that she won under 2 minutes, which you don't see that happen very often. Even when this time limit is 3 minutes, they still usually go to like 2:30, 2:45. This was over in 1:55.
Yep, and I mean, and by submission too, which they even mentioned on commentary, submission specialist wrestlers usually don't fare as well in a speed environment, because part of a submission is wearing your opponent down and getting them ready for that submission. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like you said, she got it on there quick. And can we talk about, like, she's using cattle mutilation?
Just what?
That's that move. That's cattle mutilation. Daniel Bryan used to do that.
Oh,
bring that picture back up. Is that not cattle mutilation?
I don't know the move off the top of my head.
Hold on, I'm comparing here. Yeah, that's cattle mutilation. I mean, I get it's Thea's arms are a little more elevated, like she should be a little more flat against the mat. But yeah, that's cattle mutilation. Like, I'm sorry, I've said it like 15 times now because it's such a terrible name for a move. It's actually one of the reasons why when Bryan Danielson was Daniel Bryan, they didn't have him doing that move in WWE. That, and apparently Jim Ross doesn't like the move because you can't see the wrestlers' faces very well for them to emote the pain of the maneuver. But it's a nasty looking move, and I guess that's why they call it cattle mutilation.
Now, that's the thing though, like, Daniel Bryan could have used it when he was in WWE. He just had to name it something more vegan.
Oh my gosh. This is he just calls it brushing the goat. That's what it would have been called for him. My God, brushing the goat.
I'm glad I didn't
Molly.
end up taking a sip of my drink.
Yeah,
because I probably would have spat it all over my iPad.
Oh, goodness gracious. But yeah, I was surprised by that. Like, you just don't see that too often in the WWE environment. So that's awesome that they're letting her use that as her finishing hold. Love it.
Now
they didn't call it that though. Thank goodness. I don't know what they're calling it for Ren. Like,
I don't remember Vic saying anything, like naming it on commentary. But I'd have to play it back.
And I don't think he did. We'll just call it for right now. I'm going to call it Sinclarity. That's what I'm going to call it right now.
Hey, you know what? They started calling them Fraxium after you coined the term. So if they don't have a name for it already, maybe that's
Sinclarity.
What they start calling it.
You know what? Tomorrow's Wednesday. There will inevitably be a Happy Wednesday post. I'll just flat out say it. I was like, look, call your finish Sinclarity. It's great. It's got pop. It's got chutzpah. Just go for it.
Don't even suggest it. Just drop it like it's already named Sinclarity. Like, just
you're right. Well, I love that you beat her with Sinclarity last night. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, love it.
Be like, it's already a fact. It'll catch on.
Hashtag Sinclarity.
Just gaslight Red Sinclair into naming your finish. So
Great.
after that, we did see Tatum finally find. We did have the Blake Howard interview with Fatal Influence first. This one was. Oh my God, I am so far ahead of my notes here. Tag team division in Robert Stone's office. They're talking about the tag title tournament with the winner going on to face Vanity Project. I keep wanting to call them Private Party. Vanity Project at Stand and Deliver. This leads to OTM and Dark State fighting in Robert Stone's office. And we'll talk more about that afterward. And the severity of that fight. But then we have
Dark State was I think understandably upset that they weren't getting an immediate rematch for their tag team titles that they lost to. Now I almost called him Private Party. Swipe right. I'm calling him Swipe Right. In my mind, the tag team is Swipe Right. The collective group is the Vanity Project. But
it's like when Wes Lee said if it was him and I can't remember his TNA name, but Wes Dez or whatever was like, oh, if it's us, it's MSK. If it's the three of us, it's the Rascals.
Right, exactly. So there's a little delineation there. But they were upset that they weren't getting an immediate tag title shot. They don't want to be put into a tournament. They were upset about that. So I understand why they were angry.
Oh, totally understandable.
I get it. But they handled it poorly. That's the
absolutely. Issue. You cannot solve your problems with violence. If WWE has taught me anything, it's that violence is not the answer. No. So after that, Blake Howard interviewing Fatal Influence, he was interviewing JC Jane up until he pissed her off, and then he starts interviewing Fallon Henley. This leads to Ren QCC coming out, and we see a bit of a standoff between champion and challenger, and then Kendall kind of hints like she wants the NXT Women's Championship.
Which I would not be opposed to her getting that around her waist at some point. I want to say I really liked the beginning of this interview with Fatal Influence because JC Jane is just so mean, and she's so good at being mean. It's such a strong suit for her, to the point that I bet she is like the kindest human being on the planet. But she looks at Blake Howard and she just says, "I never thought I'd miss Sarah Schreiber."
Sick burn, though.
Yeah. And I was just like, man. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I think she's such a mean girl, and she's so good at it. But yeah,
I agree.
I would very much like for Ren Sinclair to beat Fallon Henley next week. I don't know if that's in the cards. I don't know if that's the plan. But at least give me a little bit of time before, because I know that Kendall's gonna drop that Evolve title at some point. She can't hold on to it forever. Yeah. She's an NXT wrestler at this point. Same thing with Jackson Drake. They can't hold these belts forever. I also don't know how many weeks in the can they have of Evolve. I don't know how they film Evolve.
They might have dropped the titles already. Who knows?
Yeah, no clue. I have no idea. But it'd be nice to have that visual on television for at least a couple weeks of Kendall and Ren both holding the singles championships. And again, the Ren QCC is another reason that I will say that we need women's tag team championships that are solely on NXT.
100%. And, if Shawn Michaels takes away anything from this episode of the Rewind, let it be that.
Yeah, thank you.
So after that, we did see Tatum finally catch up with Izzy Dame. They end up scrapping outside. Robert Stone decides enough is enough, and this is going to end next week in a steel cage.
Woo! And like I said, I said this earlier in the show, I'm excited for this match next week. I think they are going to put on a hell of a cage match. I am also excited for this to be the actual end of this feud, which is refreshing. I feel like this is some old school territory booking. The feud's going to end with the cage match. Like, this is, keep Nico and, Spears out of the situation. I'm sure they'll try to get in the cage anyway. But, like, this is great. Izzy's going to lose here. The belt stays with Tatum. And the feud's over. And they can move on. They can just move on. It's good
what
for
does
everybody.
Izzy move on to? Do you think she challenges for the women's title?
Okay, so as it stands, I don't know that she challenging against JC Jane is a really good sell. It would be a good match, but just heel on heel dynamic there. If JC is, going to lose the women's championship come Stand and Deliver, or perhaps next week, but I don't know. I think that Sol and Zarya are going to mutually assure one another's destruction in that match, and JC will skate out with the championship. But I don't know if JC's going to make it out of Stand and Deliver with that championship. That being said, JC, I'm dropping it, will in all likelihood be to a face. I don't know who offhand. But then I could see Izzy challenging, and they could just have her kind of, pull back a little bit and heat her back up before then. But I don't know, maybe a devastating loss to, Tatum Paxley would just take Izzy Dame off of television for a couple weeks.
Very true. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. We still got, oh God, what is it? 3 weeks between now and Stand and Deliver?
Yep.
And they are hyping up this show in Houston quite a lot.
Yes. Are you excited for what they announce next week?
Oh, we still got to talk about Robert Stone talking to Blake Howard before then. Gracefully, thank God. So, one thing that I noticed tonight, actually, was this recurring pattern of Robert Stone being the one to preview next week's show instead of that falling to the commentators.
Yes, which I like. I like that a lot. It does give an air of legitimacy to him being the person booking the show. Mm-hmm. Like, I like that a lot. Like, because this was something they actually did with Ava before she departed and just left them all high and dry, even though she was in the middle of a storyline. Just walks out on a wrestling company for something else. That's what her dad did too. Anyway.
The irony being that her dad is like one of the, like, he's the head of the board, and she basically just walked out of his company.
Yeah, well, and he left for like movie stardom. She just left. But something they did with her that I really, really liked, at kind of the like season premiere time for NXT, was, the opening match got derailed, and she grabs a headset from a random tech, and she's like, okay, look, that's not happening. Go tell so-and-so that their match is actually up after the break, and then we'll get everything back on track. And they did that a couple times. They've had them kind of explaining why they're booking matches where they're booking them in those instances. And I like that, because that's one of those little kind of straighten your tie kind of moments that professional wrestling usually doesn't care to fix. And it hurts the suspension of disbelief. And I like that. And I'm glad you mentioned that Robert Stone is doing that. This is the second or third week in a row. And he is also sweating profusely. He is so sweaty. He is running his damn head off backstage. There's so much going on. It has been so chaotic since Ava left.
And I think chaos is the right term for it, because you had the tag team division brawl in his office. Then he had to break up Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley. And now he's teasing the card for next week. And yeah, definitely a lot of running around that he has to do.
Yeah.
There was a couple announcements as well that didn't make it into like lower third graphics, but he did say that the tag team title tournament kicks off next week with Hank and Tank taking on Birthright. Did he say which members?
I did not catch that.
I feel like it was any two.
Yeah, I think it's any two. I don't have anything in my notes from it at all. If he did say it, I didn't make note of it. But now, when they were in Stone's office, I don't know that Charlie was in the office. I remember seeing Lexus and Uriah, but I'm not sure if I saw Charlie.
Well, did we see Stax there too?
I don't recall. I'm not sure if Stax is back there or not.
Well, I mean, if Stax was back there, Ariana was probably back there, and I don't think she was there for the brawl.
Yeah, I don't think she was there for the brawl. So
okay, so it might have just been the two of them. Maybe it is Uriah and King next week.
I'll say this: if it's Uriah and King, you know what? They might win regardless. I feel like that would be a really bad look for the Nepo Brethren or Birthright for them to lose like right out of the gate.
Yeah, like if they want to have them go to the final, I don't think they're going to go to Stand and Deliver. No, but I think they definitely will have more of a feature in the tag team division after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I did note though that Robert Stone says because they started the brawl, Dark State and OTM are out of the tournament. They are gone. I obviously, for storyline reasons, this was the right call to make. But I don't think that they're actually out. You know, I think that they, or maybe they are. But I think that we might see this match at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah. And gosh, man, I don't know what they figured out with OTM over the last month and a half, 2 months, but they're really really sizzling now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I talk so much crap about them, about how they were the albatross around Jada Parker's neck, and she just broke out from them so quickly and so efficiently and just left them in the mud as it was. But man, they've really turned it up, and I think this conflict with Dark State has been a big part of that.
I agree. I think just them finally getting their footing, because they did have a very rocky start.
Yeah,
even before they added
Jada
Scripps.
Oh, Scripps. Yeah. Oh my! I forgot about Scripps. Oh my God! I feel terrible. I haven't thought about Scripps in so long. Oh, Reggie. Oh, Reggie.
The one that's so obviously Reggie in a mask. But yeah, and then adding Jada Parker, I feel like was supposed to do more for them than it actually did, or at least that was the plan. But then Jada just took off all on her own, and very much made two guys in a 3-person stable the third wheel in their stable. I think it might have actually been the face turn that helped them the most.
Yeah. It's great, yeah.
But I do think the Dark State OTM match is going to wind up happening at Stand and Deliver. Now, Vanity Project thought they were getting the week off, but it turns out they are in a 6-man tag next week against Los Americanos. I have to imagine that Vanity Project is very high with officials backstage.
Yeah.
They are their on-screen presence is fantastic. Their in-ring work has been good so far, and I think when you get the NXT talent that is mixing it up with main roster talent, especially to the caliber of the guys under the masks. Obviously, they're not going to wrestle that style. And Vanity Project is probably glad that they're not.
Right.
But I think they are seen as the standouts in NXT right now to be getting the spot.
Oh yeah, it's going to be such a good match. Just because Vanity Project, I bet Shawn Michaels likes them a lot. Because he's probably like, man, those kids just bump. Because they do. They bump more than a bathroom in a nightclub in the 80s. If you know what I mean, and I think y'all do. It was a
Sean
cocaine
certainly
joke, guys.
does.
Oh, God, yes, he does. I'll always remember that time when he was talking to CM Punk in ring. He's like, we don't drink or do drugs. And CM Punk just goes, anymore. And Sean just goes, but yeah, but they just bump their asses off. And I mean, and obviously the talent that is in Los Americanos, it's going to be a fun match, and it gets them on the card, and it's going to give such a just fun, high octane, high energy match on the card next week. And, I think Los Americanos, they pop them on NXT from time to time. When I went to the house show here, they were on the card. They wrestled Chase U, actually.
Okay.
Which one of my favorite moments of that match was, about 9 or 10 people were just quietly like chanting Tyler Bate, and he just he just turns and just goes. But it's like
because what else can he do, right?
Oh, it's people are like, cover your tattoo better, like it's.
That's
but
so
yeah,
good.
it's gonna be a great match. Oh, Cat and Heat number 2 just came over to say hello.
Hello,
Celeste is
Cat
here.
and Heat number 2.
Celeste she's learned her caterwauling from Ziggy. She gets wild and very obnoxious, but I love her, so.
So that was there was one more announcement, bit of news, but Robert Stone decided to let Vic Joseph handle this announcement, which
Big
was
news.
that
Big news, CJ.
Next week in Houston, Texas, is Booker T Appreciation Night.
Yes,
And
sir.
I told Tyler before we went live that I might be sick next week.
No, man.
Okay, so on a serious note, like as much as I rag on Booker T, commentator Booker T, professional wrestler Booker T is a well-deserved Hall of Famer.
Very, very true. He will not get a second induction as a commentator, I don't believe. But
Third.
Oh, shoot, that's right. Oh, my God. I just disrespected the hell out of Stevie Ray. My apologies to Harlem Heat. Wow. Dude, they put so many people in the Hall of Fame every year. I think it's okay that I forget one or two of them from time to time. Shoot, you're right. So that would be his third. It ain't happening. A third induction is not happening for Booker T.
Now, the thing with Booker T, though, is when they had Vic talking about this event, like, first words out of his mouth were about how his tenure with Booker T was only supposed to last 3 months, now they're here 3 years. Given everything that has been happening between Jasper Troy and Keanu Carver the last couple weeks, that specific reference makes me think next week is Booker T's last night.
You think so?
I think he's going to wind up being a victim of Keanu Carver, and in front of his hometown, in front of Booker T's hometown, that is going to cement him as a monster heel.
You know what? I think that you are. I think you're probably correct about that. That I felt when they had Keanu get in his face, I felt that my first thought was they're not possibly leading to a match between them, because I know Booker still does some spots, especially for his school, but I don't think he's doing full-fledged matches out there anymore where he's really going.
Yeah, I remember. I think he had a match with Zillifa too. Recently.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the match, so I don't know how athletic of a contest it was from Booker's end, or if he was just, selling his ass off to make Fatu look good.
And then doing a spin-a-rooney for good measure.
Because it's Booker T.
Right. But I think you're right. I think that they're going to be in the middle of, Booker T. The crowd's going to be singing a chorus of Shucky Ducky. And Keanu Carver is just going to come down there and just wreck shop. I'm actually for that. Now, that being said, if you think they're going to... Is this a temporary writing off of Booker T? Or do you think that, again, I said this off air, but I feel like NXT is taken very seriously the Observer Award for worst weekly wrestling program or whatever it was specifically. I think they've taken that seriously because these last few weeks have been absolutely stepped up. Like, not just in, quality of content, but the amount of content in each episode. You're getting good quality 10-minute matches at least a couple times a night, and you're getting a lot of good story progression. And you gotta remember, Booker T was awarded worst commentator in wrestling. And, we love Book at the end of the day, but we always rag on how he is on commentary. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if they're taking that seriously too. And they're like, look, we have to do better. Like, people like Booker, but clearly he's not adding to the product what he could be adding to the product or what he should be at. Molly felt that Celeste got a little too close just now, I guess.
And sounds like she made that Celeste's problem.
Yeah, she really just squeaked and Celeste went a running, but that's all it takes. They're friends. I've watched Celeste groom her. It's so cute. She just sits there and just cleans her. It's really adorable. Oh. I thought, what was I saying though? I'm so sorry. I fell off my train of thought.
We were talking about Booker T and what he adds to the commentary.
Oh, yes. So, but I do wonder then if because of the amount they've stepped up NXT, if it is reactionary to the Observer Awards, they have to be thinking the same thing about Book. That being said, who's the the play-by-play, or I'm sorry, the color analyst after that? Like, who do you put there?
Honestly, William Regal.
Oh my God! Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. He's already going to be there. Like, he can heal it up a little bit. He can really just talk about how great Charlie is when he's out there. But William would be great, and he can also be demeaning in a way that makes Vic more endearing.
Oh, 100%. Like, he can British charm backhand the shit out of Vic Joseph on a weekly basis, and I will eat it up. And that's not a slight on Vic Joseph at all. Vic, there was a point in the main event, which I swear we will talk about shortly.
We will, guys. It's coming.
Definitely had a lot more in-depth conversation than sometimes usual. But I would love, like, Vic during the main event was just like just rattling off phenomenal play-by-play.
Yeah.
So even if they decide to have him kind of do play-by-play and color with some color support from whether it's William Regal or whether they give Blake Howard a shot at the desk.
What about Big E? Sorry, not to interrupt, but what about Big E?
Yeah, I could see that. Big E would add a lot to the product for sure.
We know he's officially never coming back to the ring, which saddens me, but yeah. I would never want someone to risk their actual livelihood and ability to walk for something like professional. I love wrestling, but I'm glad he made that decision in the long run. But WWE loves him. He's got a lot of support there, and they're not going to not want him there. He's such an amazing just talent in terms of mic skills, and he's so charismatic, and people love Big E. And I always think that the best color analysts are always former professional wrestlers.
Well, because I think they can lean on their experience with telling a story in kayfabe and translate that well into commentary, especially if they have good promo skill before hitting commentary.
Yeah. And and Big E has a history at NXT. He was the 5 count. The 5 count when he was NXT champion. 3 wasn't enough. He needed 5.
Exactly. Another thing that I get stuck in my head from time to time was definitely his banger of an NXT theme the first time around.
Yep. Fantastic. That's on my iPod.
I still jam out to Smooth, Marcus Corvon.
Also on my iPod. So there's an entire wrestling playlist on there, but
Jim Johnston is still the GOAT, man. Like,
yeah, it's a shame that he's never going to get the Grammy that he should have been given for the amount and variance of good music he wrote over the years. And, God, Def Rebel could just learn so many things from someone like Jim Johnston.
absolutely. And the fact that they don't have him mentoring whatever musical group or artist is creating the entrance themes these days, it's criminal.
So here's my question real quick, and then I swear, guys, we will get back into the show and talk about this main event. But this is just about music and licensing. I don't watch the UFC. I prefer my scripted fights to be professional wrestling. Yeah, I said what I said. But they give them like actual songs to walk to the octagon to, right? Like TKO is licensing music for them to walk out to. So why can't we just start doing that more with wrestlers? Because
I think because it's a different mentality about the song that you choose. Like even Ronda Rousey, for example, like you could license Joan Jett for Ronda Rousey. She was the biggest female star in the company at the time.
Right.
Then of course WWE has to license it because that song is so tied to her career as a fighter.
Right.
When you look at wrestling themes, it's trying to create a song that is so closely associated with the character that it transcends the popularity of the song. Like, Randy Orton's is a really good example of that. Like, Rev Theory putting that song together with Jim Johnston, Jim Johnston is still the key because he understands the important relationship there. Yeah. And I think that's really what's been lacking for so many themes over the years, with the rare exception. Like, as much as we shat on CFOs when they were writing themes, I still get Enzo's stuck in my head from time to time too.
They still did a good job of embodying character. And it's something like, again, about Jim Johnson. It's just so impressive. Using Randy Orton as an example, he was able to compose songs that worked for someone's character more than once. Entirely different songs and just very different spins on the same individual. Because, like, Burnin' My Light, fantastic song for Randy Orton. It fit who he was when he was the legend killer. It made sense. Like, and then to do that again with voices, it's just, it's incredible. And Jim Johnston, we miss you. You're not dead. You're just not in the company anymore.
And that is a shame.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Now, getting on to our main event, because holy cow, we have to finish this show.
It's 12:30 Eastern Standard, baby.
Challengers versus champions, All Ego, Ethan Page and Ricky Saints taking on the team of the North American champion, Miles Bourne, and the NXT champion, Joe Hendry.
Yes.
Phenomenal tag team match. We see the challengers getting the win here, which they really told an interesting story throughout this match. But the finish itself, I thought was phenomenal for Ethan specifically. But we'll get into the particulars of that in a minute, because they do tease a lot of the current strain in the relationship between Saints and Page. They even reference Page throwing the title. Like, Ricky goes out, grabs the North American title, and purposely just like throws it so far to the other side of the ring past Ethan Page, and gives that fake sort of, oh no, like, obviously he's still pissed about it. But what ends up happening at the end of the match is we see an attempted distraction go awry. Saints tries to hit Hendry with the NXT title and he fails. Then we see Page tag himself in, but it takes Ricky a second to realize. So they start bickering back and forth. Miles Bourne ends up coming in, clearing Saints out of the ring. Ref's trying to get Miles out of the ring now, and Paige uses that opportunity to DDT Hendry onto the title because the NXT title was still in the ring.
Yep.
So he uses that opportunity to pin the NXT champion. And the implication here with Paige getting the win over Hendry is, as much as Saints wants to challenge for the NXT championship, so does Ethan Page.
Right.
And that's part of why I'm thinking it's going to wind up being a fatal four-way at Stand and Deliver. But also just the story that they're telling with Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. You know, like, they're both giving each other the side eye here.
Right.
They both know what's going on.
Oh, this is like, this is like, that like old parable about the frog riding the scorpion across the river, and the scorpion stings him anyways. Like, I'm a scorpion, you knew I was going to do it. Like, it's like that, except it's like a snake riding a scorpion. That's what we have here. And by the way, unofficial tag name for them, I'm calling them the Canola Connection. Because it's Canadian.
Canola?
Yeah, because Ricky Saints is from New Orleans, Louisiana, also known as NOLA. And yeah, so it's the Canola Connection, which almost sounds too much like canola, like the spray, now that I realize it. So I might have to workshop that one a little bit more. But no, but yeah, they're absolutely, they know who each person is. They know how conniving the other is. And they've kind of touched on this a little bit, they've known each other much longer than they've been in NXT. So they know how each other have been for a very long time. But I love this. Like you said, I love this for Ethan Page. Just his, like, I don't know. I feel like he's the type of performer that always behaves like he's being watched, even if he doesn't think he is. All these subtle little things he does, and sometimes they're a little more overt, but him just sitting there staring at Miles Bourne, and obviously you can't see it from the picture, but he motions that he's like, I'm here, you're here. Like saying that, like, you might have that championship that I walked around with, but I've been NXT champion, and I'm going to challenge for this championship again, and damn it, I'm going to win it. And again, like, and he's also kind of establishing, well, I'm doing things that Ricky can't do. I'm beating people that Ricky can't beat. And so, like, that's going to be more friction. And yeah, it's going to have to end to a multi-man match, whether that be a triple threat or a fatal four-way with someone like Keanu Carver, Tony D'Angelo, or hell, Keanu Carver, whatever.
Five-man match. You know what? Everybody versus the champion. Like
Six-pack challenge.
Yeah. Championship scramble. If anybody can make the championship scramble work, it's NXT.
There you go. At least it's not a reverse battle royal.
King of the Mountain match.
So
that brings us to the end of our show. Well, to the end of NXT. Overall, Tyler, what do you think of tonight's show?
Well, as I kind of said earlier, I think the last few weeks, NXT has just, excuse me, goodness gracious, has just been firing on all cylinders. I do think they took some offense to winning that Observer Award, and I think that they want to improve the quality of the show. And and that's not a bad thing. I never thought NXT was a bad product. I guess, someone has to win the award, but clearly enough people thought it was the worst one on television. But these last few weeks especially, they've really turned it up. I will say it's not so much content that it's hard to keep up with. I'm not scrambling through my notes every week. They're having enough time between segments, or they're doing the multi-segment thing where they'll like kind of transition from one, kind of vignette or sketch to an interview or something of that nature. They're making the most of their minutes. I give tonight's show a pretty good solid thumbs up. I'm looking forward to next week's. They're doing a much better job every week of announcing at least 3 matches, if not an entire 5-match card. It's giving you a lot to look forward to. And a lot of these weekly shows have been almost like little teeny pay-per-views, you know? It's kind of funny that they just did Vengeance Day in the Performance Center, but they're going to be in Houston next week.
Well, and I mean, they've got Houston, they've got St. Louis coming up for Stand and Deliver, and Vengeance Day taking place in the PC. Kind of, it didn't irk me because I understand why they don't take every single pay-per-view on the road.
Right.
But it feels like the build-up to Stand and Deliver, like the last pay-per-view before Stand and Deliver, should have also been on the road.
Yep. I agree.
Instead of a random NXT on a Tuesday night.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, weren't they supposed to be? Was that Houston or was that Atlanta? That was Atlanta the show that got canceled.
There was a show that got canceled.
They were supposed to do a on the road show, and I want to say that it was Atlanta, and they just didn't do it. They canceled it. I don't think they ever gave a particular reason as to why that on the road show didn't happen. But I cannot remember it. I'd have to look into it. But yeah, that was maybe a month or two ago.
Yeah, NXT's February 24th show at Center Stage in Atlanta has been canceled due to permitting issues.
Oh, yes. Okay, now that you said that, it jogged something. I don't know where I read this, but apparently there used to be like a parking lot directly across from the venue that is, you know what? I think it was on the Torch, PW Torch. There used to be a parking lot there that used to be there. Now it's like an apartment or a business or something like that. And WWE didn't want to pay for a permit to park their production trucks somewhere else when they could just park them across the street for free. Basically, they were fine with it. But yeah, that's what it was. They didn't want to get the permit for it, or maybe it was too late for them to get the permit. That could have been the case as well. I honestly don't know. But yeah, that was it. Thank you. See, we got there, guys. It's not exactly breaking news, but it's news.
Yeah, exactly. So that brings us to the end of our show, which brings us to our megastar and jobber of the night. So, Tyler, go ahead with your megastar first. And
my megastar tonight. It's this comes from what we said earlier, was without question the match of the night. But I'm going with the evil Southern Belle, Lainey Reed. Like we went. I'm not going to go on too much about it here because we talked ad nauseum about it earlier during the match coverage. But she is so good, and I feel kind of embarrassed that I didn't really pick up on this until very recently. Just how good she is in the ring, and just how really solid the little time she's been given on the mic has been. But like, her character work is good, and this was an amazingly well done match. I didn't see this level of a match coming out of her. Sol Rook is incredible. Sol's main roster bound at this point already. She's got 1 foot off the surfboard, as it would be. But Lainey Reed, just like, I feel like people have slept on her too long. I was, I guess, in that same camp. She is without question my megastar of the night. I'm looking forward to, I was worried about Fatal Influence breaking up for a couple reasons. Now the person I'm most worried about if Fatal Influence breaks up is actually JC Jane. Before, I was most worried, most to least, I was most worried about Lainey. Next, I was most worried about JC, and then Fallon. I'm never really worried about Fallon Henley's career. I think she's just so talented as both a baby and a heel. But man, Lainey Reed has got something special, and that is wild that so many women in NXT we've said that about. Like, she has got something so special.
I gotta say though, like, the year that JC Jane has had, and you still want to say that she's the third wheel of this group?
I'm not saying she's the third wheel. I am most concerned for her trajectory with the breakup of that group and her losing that belt. I'm most concerned. I don't know, other than main roster, what you do with her at that point. That's my concern. I should have been a little more specific in that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'd be concerned about her NXT trajectory because there's nothing left. But Fallon and Lainey still have things to do there, and I think they still hop up and keep going upwards. But like, unless the plan is to put JC Jane on the main roster, finally, because how long has she been on NXT? Which there's no shame in being an NXT lifer. I truly believe that. It's a great brand, but I'm sure she would like to go to the main roster. I feel like she's been passed over multiple times. There's been many opportunities to put her up there, and it would have kind of clicked and probably made sense. But if you're not doing that, I don't know what she does after Fatal Influence. I don't. Like, it's that, or she just kind of falls into obscurity in NXT. And I don't think that's fair for her. But...
Well, and I remember hearing something when Wes Lee left the company that they released him because they didn't have any plans for the main roster. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing something about a time frame for like time spent in NXT. Like there is a limit, but I don't remember what it is.
So, I mean, and that is interesting, and I'd be curious if it's like a hard and fast limit. Does it include injury time? Like, there'd be a few factors I'd be curious about, because if there is a limit in the amount of time that you can spend in NXT before there's going to be like, you know what? Don't you dare take Andre Chase away from me.
That's where I thought you were going.
It's not where I was going. I was still talking about how long JC Jane's been there. Because like her back has to be against that time frame. And geez Louise, Andre Chase would absolutely be another person in that camp. But again, there are certain gimmicks and characters that I think they would use at NXT in almost indefinitely, because it's a way to bring people in. And I still think Chase U is that, and I think Chase U will rise again.
Was Chase U Black and White NXT? Or did they come in 2.0?
Okay, I'm going to the old Google machine.
Because I can't remember. Was Black and Yellow ever at the PC?
No, I think it was always Full Sail.
2.0 started after they left Full Sail?
I think so.
I don't think Chase U was ever at Full Sail.
So it says here, and this is just, we'll have to fit the time frame in here. Chase University debuted on the September 21st, 2021 episode of NXT.
Which I believe was 2.0.
Okay, so yeah. So, I mean, so he's been there now, and he did wrestle as Harland on 205 Live prior to that.
Right.
Like, so that was a gimmick change for him as well. But that was, so I mean, he's been at it for almost 5 years as the same character. Wow, that is a long time.
Now, something that I wanted to confirm, JC signed her developmental contract in February that same year.
Wow. Okay, so they've both all right. So
she is on year 5.
As is he. At least as his character. He might have been there a little bit longer than that. Wow.
Now, Wes Lee started in 2020. He signed December 2020, so like 2 months before JC Jane.
Yeah, so there might be a bit of a sliding scale to the timer they put on people.
It also could have been an artificial reason for them releasing Wes Lee. Like, maybe it was more so that they just didn't have any plans for him on the main roster, as opposed to there being a cap on the amount of time you can spend there.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to say. But who's your megastar?
Oh, it's Lainey Reed.
Oh, it's Lainey Reed also? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, match of the night, in my opinion. I debated giving it to Soul as well, because she did win the match.
True.
They made a star out of Lainey Reed tonight, and I feel like it would have done her an injustice for her to share that spotlight. Not to say that Soul wasn't good in this match, but they made a star out of Lainey Reed tonight, and
yes,
they one that's very sorely needed, I think, especially with JC and, well, potentially JC, but Soul, definitely main roster bound. I would say even Lola and Kalani in the next year are both going to be on the main roster.
Oh my gosh, I think it'll be way quicker than for that. Way quicker than that for Lola, especially.
Well, Lola for sure. Like I can see post-Mania she's on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
Now, here we are at our jobber of the night. Who do you got?
All right, so this one was a little bit more difficult because again, like these shows have just been so good. So I'm gonna. This is tough, man. Like I don't have a great reason to pick on anybody in particular here, and I've spent the bulk of the episode with this in the back of my mind, trying to suss out who I was going to pick here, and I honestly I'm drawing a blank tonight. It's rare that I don't really have anybody. I toyed with Thea Hale just because like she lost in 2 minutes, and I don't know. I really don't have a good one though, man.
Yeah, because I mean, like that's the nature of the speed match.
Yeah, so I can't really even blame her for that. I mean, I could see like I could just for funsies say Stacks because he's just kind of there. I don't understand what his birthright is, but you know what? I'll say this, and this is just kind of about God. They're so good too. I kind of wanted to almost take them as my megastars as a whole tonight, but I really had to give it to Laney. But I will say, if they want to say that Stacks after he marries Ariana, if they want to say he's a second generation wrestler because he is the stepson, geez Louise, because he's the son-in-law of Santino Marella, I'm fine with that. And the reason I'm fine with that is because they call The Rock a third generation wrestler. Peter Maivia is not Rocky Johnson's father. The Rock's mother never wrestled. So there is a generational break there. The Rock is a second generation wrestler, and he always has been.
Wait, run that by me again?
So they call him a third generation wrestler because the High Chief Peter Maivia, wrestler.
Right.
Rocky Johnson, Peter Maivia's son-in-law, Rock's dad. Peter Maivia is not the father of Rocky Johnson. That's what would have made The Rock a true third-generation wrestler. Chavo Guerrero is still the first third-generation wrestler in WWE, and I will die on that hill. Ooh, Chavo. I get why they're saying that, because he would have had influence from both of them. You know what I mean? It is his. Yeah. It's his maternal grandfather. So, there's still a genetic link. It's just a sloppy genetic link to call him a third-generation wrestler. And I'm going to have people fucking coming for me over this. I know it. And part of it's because I never really liked The Rock all that much.
I think because the subject of the argument is The Rock, I think that you would follow The Rock's lineage as opposed to Peter Maivia's.
It's his granddad, though. I'm just saying, I never viewed him as a true third generation wrestler. I'm just because there's
that's valid. I get it.
I don't bring it up often because it upsets people. CJ, it upsets people. So I don't know who this makes my jobber of the night. Then I guess Nepos. I guess
I just love the idea that are they your jobbers because they're Nepos?
I don't even know at this point. It is almost 1:00 in the morning.
Okay, yeah, I'll do my jobber of the night real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. My jobber of the night, I'm gonna win with the Culling.
Okay.
They were in a rough spot thanks to Shiloh Hill, who, by the way, I also wanted to make my my honorary mention for Megastar of the Night. Again, his character work is fantastic, but I mean, the Culling just having a real rough night. They started out strong, but then just kind of went right downhill. So they are my jobbers of the night.
Fair enough.
Since again, kind of like you said, I don't have any real problem with anyone in the Culling. It's just I had to pick someone.
Yep, in some weeks, it is hard. It honestly is some weeks very, very difficult for NXT to choose someone that's a jobber of the night. Because, people don't fall super duper short on NXT that often, I feel. But because that's a matter of opinion, right, Mo?
Well, and I mean, we're NXT through and through. And so we are definitely more invested. And I think we look at the long term as opposed to each week by week.
Yeah, that's true.
One, because that's why we're here, and
right.
Two, because that's just how invested we are in the product.
Well, and that's developmental, and that's something I think people often do forget, especially with the focus of NXT having been a third brand for such a long time now. It is still the developmental brand. Like, these people, they're young. These guys and gals are young, and they're learning as they go too. Some of them, granted, some of them are indie darlings and very well polished coming in. Some of them are flat out veterans coming into the NXT environment, but you need those wrestlers there as well to not just, aid the younger talent, but also to add that legitimacy, and they do a great job of it. And they've been improving the last few weeks. And I hate that they got that Observer Award, but I'm not upset that they got it if this is going to be the output from it.
Very true. And I mean, I know you mentioned it a few times. I thought it was just like improving the quality because we're headed to Stand and Deliver.
Mm-hmm.
Not that the main roster does that for WrestleMania anymore, but it's still something I think NXT... Don't give me that look. You know it's true.
Oh, it's true. It sure is.
That brings us to the end of our show. Tyler can finally go to sleep. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and hanging out on a Tuesday night with us talking to NXT. Tyler, it is a blast, as always. Tell the folks where they can find you.
Hey, guys, after you give Dirt Sheet Radio a follow on all social media platforms, if you could give myself and Molly a follow over on Facebook at The Pro Wrestling Hipster, I would be elated, and she would as well. I definitely do milk the cuteness of Molly on there. But people keep telling me I need to start dressing her up like Mongo did with his dog back on Nitro, and I should. My wife's a very skilled knitter, so she could definitely whip up little outfits for Molly, easy peasy. And then she would growl at her when she tried to give them to her, because she growls at my wife quite often. But yeah, guys, follow me over on Facebook. I don't even mention the other social medias because I don't do things on them. So Facebook, The Pro Wrestling Hipster, but only after you follow Dirt Sheet Radio everywhere else. And other than that, you can always catch me here, and we'll be back next week because, man, oh man, we have a hell of a card for Houston, and it's Booker T Appreciation Night, and CJ is not going to miss that.
No, I am contractually obligated to be here. Anyways, so CJ Carter, thank you again for showing up. You can follow me on Twitter. I don't post there that much, but it's at CJ Carter 22. I think I basically just retweet the streams now so people will watch, and that's pretty much it. But yes, thank you again for tuning in. Looking forward to being back talking NXT next Tuesday. Take care, everyone.
Shuck it, duck it, quack, quack.
Oh, I knew I should have cut you off.
This concludes our broadcast day. Good night, and God bless
The sport of professional wrestling.